Okay,
Lois,
let's
I'll
see,
send you a
hold
copy
on.
of this.
Gross maximum, it says C, the gross maximum price cost estimate attached. And I don't see no attachment.
Well, it's gonna take a lot.
7.35 million.
Huh?
That's not it.
That's all it is?
No, because I kind of have the same memory like the chairman said, they came in.
Right,
at like-
okay, it's on,
Like 150
page 2 of
below.
this handout thing.
Of the attachment in the back?
Yeah, I can't see.
That,
I'll show you.
that's gotta be, that's the gross, that's what Alan was saying.
Right, that's the price. Yeah, that's the price. That's got all the parts. to it.
Williams Hospital GMP, $7,350,000.
I think that's right.
Which
I
one?
don't think so, Alan.
Well, I mean, it lists all the,
I mean, I know what it says.
That may be just a building with no
No equipment.
equipment, that's correct. But anyway,
Anyway.
the question at hand is to pay this invoice.
Yeah, we
And
can't,
we have a motion and a
Yeah.
second there to pay it. Any further discussion on that issue? All those in favor? All opposed? That motion carries.
Mr. Chairman? Could I ask a question, Alan Pfeiffer, Concerned Citizens? Did we sign a contract on the, on this? I don't remember that being brought before the commission. where
It
they-
says that it was attached, the minutes are attached where the board discussed this price and the contract, then approved the contract by motion.
Okay,
I'll get you a copy of that if you'd like.
thank you.
Okay, move forward.
Okay. Item number 13, moving right along here, this is my last item. As the board is aware, Attorney Schuler and I have been in discussion with the two management companies that TMH recommended, Community Hospital Consulting, CHC, and Vestra. Both companies have made, I apologize, both companies have made initial presentations to the board. Before CHC is willing to proceed with any discussions regarding leasing or any other type of agreement as it relates to Weems, they have determined that an operational assessment is needed. This assessment will comprise of two components, a desktop evaluation of key data elements and a multi-day on-site assessment. Attorney Schuler has been in discussions with Mr. Mark O'Brien of TMH, and Mr. O'Brien supports this operational assessment. He thinks that it will be a valuable tool in determining the future of Weems. The initial cost of this assessment was $60,000. CHC has reduced the cost by $5,000, and TMH will pay $15,000, leaving a balance of $40,000 to be paid by the county. In addition to the $40,000, the county will be responsible for expenses. Board action to authorize the operational assessment at a cost of $40,000 plus expenses. And if your question is going to be what the expense is going to be, I
the
couldn't tell.
deliverables, I wanna know what the deliverables is gonna be. Are they gonna have, okay.
I could send you.
In other words, I look, if they're doing an operational assessment, this is the way I look at it. They're gonna come in here and they're gonna tell us what we need to do with the hospital.
Okay, I guess, yeah, well, no, I'm just thinking, Commissioner, I think it's, yeah, to answer your question, yes, but a lot more detail than that.
But that's
you
what
know?
I'm saying, but
Yes.
basically, they're gonna say, okay, you're doable, you're not doable. You know what I'm saying?
Or-
This is doable, this is not doable.
Yeah.
You're losing money here, you're making money there.
That's more like it.
And this is our recommendation to you all.
Yes, to make,
They
for
are
us to
gonna-
have a successful operation, I think they're gonna say, this is what, in our opinion, as professionals, this is
Yeah.
what we think you need to do.
In
You
other
have
words-
so many heads and beds, you only need so many, full-time employees to support
Okay.
that. Your administration
okay.
might be top-heavy, you know, that type of thing,
That's
to
what
get
I'm
us in
saying.
a successful route
Yeah.
with Weems to move forward,
It
no
looks
matter
like-
what that route may
It
be.
looks at, and they sent this to us on our iPads, but it goes into the revenue cycle, everything, financial,
But I wanted to get it on record.
clinical,
Yeah, yeah.
You're right, Commissioner.
And this is something that we've been needing to
Everything.
do for a while because we haven't had a real good assessment of what we have got, what the potential is there, what the downfall is. So there's a lot of things in there. So, okay. But the price, they would not come down no more than 5,000 CHC.
Okay, Attorney Schuler.
Okay, Attorney Schuler.
That is
This is why I
correct.
love my county attorney. You remember that sticker?
Absolutely. Yeah, I remember that sticker. I just haven't seen it.
You're not looking hard enough. Wrong car.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Sanders. Your question was, will they come down more than that? The short answer is no, but that comes after an extended period of discussions, mainly between, I had Mr. Mark O'Brien basically speaking on my behalf for the board, because I did not call and talk to them, to the individual at CHC directly. I don't have a relationship with those folks. I've met them once or twice, but Mark O'Brien has worked with at least one of the principals there for about 30 years. He has a high level of confidence, I believe, in this group, and he has also made, and has authorized me to tell the public that he is publicly in support of having this assessment made, and is willing to put $15,000 into this in order to bring the cost down more in line to the county as to what he thought it would cost. He was thinking
Okay.
probably a more reasonable range would be somewhere around 30 or 40. And so through his efforts in reducing the fee charged by CHC, and then the money he's willing to put into the purchase, the cost of this report, it does get it down into that range that he thought was more reasonable, which was, again, the $30,000 to $40,000 range. And they have told us, although your report, if you read the document they sent us, it says 6 to 10 weeks to produce the report. What they have told us in meetings is that it would take approximately 45 days or so to produce the report.
Get it done.
I'm make a motion on condition. I wanna make a motion that they do the study, but I need to know a number on this expense. I mean, they need to tell us something. at the ball.
My plan, Commissioner, originally I had gone back and given a little pushback for them to take out the expenses that they were going to charge and have that part of their overall fee of $55,000. I was not successful in that endeavor, but what I plan on doing is going back to them and modifying some of the language, assuming that the board approves this, so that we put in a condition that says it has to be a reasonable expense. And I don't think that they will complain about that. That is something that you typically see as a formula in an expense provision of a contract. Just like an attorney's fees provision when we go to court, there's always a presumption that any fees I charge the client are subject to review by the court, and they have to be reasonable. I can't just charge whatever I want to and expect somebody to pay it. It is always subject to review and has to be judged on the basis of being reasonable. And that is what I'm going to go back and propose to CHC, and I really don't think there's going to be a problem with that. I mean, I can't guarantee that. I haven't talked to them, but I would be very concerned if they were to give me any pushback on adding that modifier, that their expenses must be reasonable.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah, I wanna do it like that, 'cause, yeah, no, I just don't like no
Open-ended?
okay.
I do want to say, I want to be very clear about something, Commissioners. No way, don't take this to be an agreement. I mean, this is not a
No, it's not
lease.
an agreement.
This is not a promise of a lease, a promise of anything. This is just them doing a study of Weems to let us know how they think we can better our operation.
Yeah,
This is what this
that's
is,
it.
that's it, nothing more.
And the reason why you've got the expenses in there is because they are not located in the Florida area. They're off in Texas somewhere or somewhere. So you're gonna be paying that expense for them to come over here and be doing that. And, at some point in time, we had to be in this position to do an assessment to see how we go down the road.
Yes.
And then that way, a lot of criticism will be taken off the board. And then we'll see what's in black and white.
And it is our assessment. I don't want you to think
It's
that
our
this is something they're going to walk away with and say you can't see it
Right,
anymore. This is the
right.
county's assessment. We own this.
Right.
Okay, we got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Lockley. Do we have a second?
A second.
Second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Sorry, my bad. Mr. Chairman, I do want to make sure, in what we're talking about, what we're making a motion for, this assessment is going to cover Franklin County healthcare, not just Williams Memorial Hospital.
No, clinics and all.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes,
That's
sir.
good. I'm just making
Yes,
sure. Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
Clinic.
All that's on your iPad. If you
Yeah.
tap on that thing that Michael sent us, it tells you everything they're gonna look at, and it's very extensive. And that's one thing Mr. Pfeiffer also has been advocating, is getting somebody from the outside to come in here and do a study. That's what we're doing.
Now, let me just clarify if I can. When you say Franklin County Healthcare, yes, to the extent it's under the Weems
County's
Hospital
purview.
umbrella.
Right,
I mean, the
right.
health
Yeah.
department, the
Yes.
FQHCs,
Right.
and the private,
No.
No,
just
yeah,
the
I'm
Weems.
talking-
Everything under our
Make sure we're-
yeah.
Clinics,
purview.
ambulance service, all that. Yeah.
We don't own everything yet.
Yeah. I like that. Bob.
Okay, Mr. Pfeiffer?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Alan Pfeiffer, Concerned Citizens of Franklin County. Take a deep breath for a moment. I know this is what I've wanted an operational assessment for a long time, but essentially, you're asking a bidder, you're paying a bidder for future services to do a quote. You know, you got to think about it this way. What I always wanted was an independent third party that doesn't have an axe to grind, rather than somebody that you're coming in and you're going to pay them $40,000 plus an unspecified amount of money for expenses. If nothing else, you should cap the expenses, which is something you can do. I'm sure they'd be happy to do that. But we need an independent third party who doesn't have a dog in the fight. And there are plenty of people that would come in and do this that are reputable people that won't be involved in the process going forward, that aren't standing to make money. What we're doing here is we're getting what's called a made as instructed quotation. They're going to give you feedback that supports them in the best possible way. We need a consultant who tells us what our strengths and weaknesses are and how we should be dealing with third-party contractors, not a third-party contractor who wants the contract. The same amount of money, but you're going to get a different answer if you go to a third-party contractor versus somebody who wants to get that contract. Please consider going to get a third-party contractor. I'll find one for you if you can't find one yourself. But just somebody who has clean hands, who comes into this with no axe to grind, who will give you the answer from an unbiased point of view rather than somebody who has a lot to gain or lose depending on what his report says. Thank you very much, Commissioners. I
We
hope
do
you
have,
consider-
we do have a motion and a second on the floor. You got further discussion?
Yeah, I just want to add some things that I think may be pertinent to what you're trying to address, Mr. Pfeiffer. And if I misunderstand it, somebody please correct me. We have not, as a board that I know of, made any intention of who we're going to go with on a contract moving forward with Wings. And the way I understand it and reading everything that's been presented to us, yes, this is a cost, but if we do wind up choosing CHC, that will be reimbursed on the back end. It won't be something that's just a cost, we paid it and we'll never recoup anything from it. There are no stipulations saying we have to choose them. They are doing this as independently as they can. And this is the one that TMH has forwarded to us. I just want to make sure, maybe you wasn't aware of that. I'm just trying to make.
It also states in there that this belongs to Franklin County, it belongs to this board.
Right.
Whether we select them or not, they give up all rights to it, so that there's nothing inclusive about it. If they don't get the bid, then we have to throw this board away because they done it. No, that's not happening. And, you know, this particular company, when they brought us the first proposal, they told us what their lines that they could do consultation, they could do management, they could lease, they could do all these different services. This is a professional company. And it's also supported by TMH, which put money into this. So I don't think that, you know, you're saying the board doesn't have the ability to do it, and now you're saying TMH doesn't have the ability to do it. They're partners in this, they put skin in the game. We do have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All opposed? Motion carries.
That is in my report, Commissioners.
Okay, where we at now? Alan Pierce, Michael Shula.
Only action item, Commissioners, is I need your permission to conduct two separate executive sessions. One will be an executive session for lawsuit filed against Franklin County by Capital City Bank in case number 2012-411-CA. My proposal is to conduct that executive session at your May 2nd meeting, and I will, if the board wants to move forward with that executive session on that date, I would need some instructions from you whether you want to hold that meeting in the morning early, or you want to hold it during the morning session at all, or do you want to hold it after lunch?
After lunch.
I think
After
that sounds
lunch.
good.
You're going to have to get everybody out of here in order to do an executive session in the morning.
That's okay. We can.
I don't want to do all that. That's
Board
too much
pleasure.
trying to clear
Unless we do it first
clear the
thing.
boardroom and ask everybody to go out, and then we get out of executive session, ask everybody to come back in. I think we need to do it at 1 o'clock the afternoon of the May 2nd meeting.
Unless we do an executive session at 8:30 in the morning and go into our regular meeting at 9.
That's not a good thing. I don't think you want me in
You know,
executive session that time of morning.
7 o'clock?
No. 1 o'clock would be my recommendation, pleasure of the board.
1:30?
1:30.
Okay, you don't have no problem with 1:30?
All right. So there, we need a motion to
I'll make a
authorize.
motion that we authorize the attorney to go in executive session at 1:30,
May the 2nd.
May 2nd.
That's the
We
lawsuit
have a-
involving Capital City Bank.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Sanders, second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion? That's Capital City Bank, that'd be the first one.
Yeah, well, I was thinking I got something on May 2nd, but I'm trying to figure out, okay.
You don't now.
You do now.
Yeah, you did, you do now, you don't, no more over there.
We do have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All opposed? That motion carries.
The second
Next.
executive session would be in the lawsuit filed by the St. Joe Corporation against the county in case number 2013-435. The date for that executive session has not yet been set. I'm trying to clear my schedule and Mr. Theriak's schedule to come down. I'm hoping to do that at the second meeting in May, but that executive session has not yet been a date determined, but I do need board authorization.
So you do need authorization to schedule that.
I do need board authorization to schedule that executive session.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Sanders, second by Commissioner Lockley. Any further discussion?
We still dealing with that, huh?
Yeah.
Trying to wrap it up. Trying to wrap it up.
Okay.
We do have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries.
And just for the board's information, I did authorize and approve on Monday 2 advertisements for 2 public hearings at your May 2nd meeting. The first public hearing will be on the road, or the ordinance to consider the weight limits and the limits on the weights for trailers on Mill Road and Duval Road. And then the second public hearing would be on your proposed update to your animal control ordinance. And then I have attached to the board a copy of an email and a letter from Mr. Dan Garlick on behalf of Apalachicola Maritime Museum for your consideration. And I have no other action items for the board. Are there any questions from the board for myself?
Mr. Chairman, I have something.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Schuler.
Yes, ma'am.
About a month and a half, maybe 2 months ago, you were directed to do a golf cart ordinance. And the way it came up with the Alligator Point folks wanted to have an ordinance done for the Alligator Point area. At that time, this board moved forward with a golf cart ordinance for the county, countywide. This past week and weeks prior, the Alligator Point St. Teresa Taxpayers Association has submitted language that they would like for you to consider when you're making up the ordinance, when you're getting up the ordinance. So if you would give them due diligence and what they're saying and give it due diligence, I sure would appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. Commissioner, I have received that information, and it will be given thoughtful consideration.
All righty, that's my, I was looking at something else.
All right, anybody, any of the board members have anything for Mr. Schuler? Commissioner comment?
I have something, Mr. Chairman. I don't know, let me preface what I'm going to say with, I don't know what can be done about it. I just know that the way it took place recently was a problem. There was a shark fishing tournament done on St. George Island. It had corporate sponsors. But the way the rules were written up for the tournament were, they couldn't be motorized. In other words, it couldn't be used with a boat with a motor. It had to be in a kayak or something, of that nature. And they were supposed to respect the public, property owners, anything like that. But there were actually issues during that tournament where people were fishing out of a kayak. They were close enough to the shore that the property owner was having discussion with them. I'm sure they were loud, but they could be heard. Where there were people in the water and they're throwing chum in the water to try to get sharks to come to them. So I don't know that we can necessarily relegate that they can't fish in the water. That's not our purview. I know that from doing some research that trying to do some kind of ordinance would probably only be where our public beach is at on the island, so that's not worth doing. I just want to make sure all of the board was aware of what went on, how it went on, because I think some of the people that supported it or financially backed it are wanting to meet and try to set up having future shark fishing tournaments. But the first one didn't go over so well in the public opinion. Just want to make sure y'all are aware of that. So I'm trying to make sure you knew about it.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about, you're right, Commissioner, as far as I'm concerned, in that the only thing we could regulate is where they land, if they're using a public boat ramp, but when they're out in the ocean, it's the FWC rules about the size of sharks, number of sharks, all that kind of stuff. On our purview.
Yes, Commissioner, I have a message I have not returned as yet, a call from the sponsor saying that they want to do it again, and they know they're aware of the complaints, and they want to discuss what can they do to make it successful and not have as many complaints about the next one. I have to return that call, I just
I
haven't.
imagine not calling the sharks up to the thing would be a good thing.
Yeah,
Get out in
You
the middle of
know.
the bay.
so
I was going to say something maybe, as it relates to permitting this type of activity. But then you got this legislative law that's coming down that says you can't regulate any kind of business. With a business license, what they do, how they operate, or anything else.
We have input on the, like, a marathon race that uses public roads, but this is, unless they're launching unless they're using our boat ramp, it's a private venture. I mean, this is, I don't know, I would.
It's not good for the tourism industry. Not good for anybody there that might be swimming and you're chumming these sharks up to the shore.
Well, I guess we could do this, I guess we could put a,
The public beach is ours.
yeah, the public beach, we could put, like we do with the jet skiers, you have to stay 500 feet off the public beach. You do something like that.
That's what I was thinking.
Anybody fishing, has to be X number of feet off the shore.
But the enforcement arm of it, that's what we were talking about, the big airboats. I mean, we've got an ordinance that says you can't have airboats, but who's enforcing it? You know? So, I mean, I'm not against anybody making money, and I'm not. And we are an area where, up the rivers and stuff like that, you can use the airboats, and different things like that. But at what point or who do we come to for enforcement?
Unfortunately, the shark would be, it'd have to be someone with a boat, and that's not the county. Is that the FCC going to assist in this? I don't know.
They don't do no things but their rules.
It ought to be some kind of,
Well, I knew I didn't have answers. I just want to make sure the rest of you are aware of it.
it ought to be some
I'm trying
kind
to
of
get you
way
an answer, Rick.
they can pick their spot better than what they doing. I mean, you don't put no charm in that. So they gonna get us plenty of publicity. One of them get.
Oh, we have publicity.
On behalf of all lawyers, I would say they ought to throw some cards out, some legal cards out there, because somebody will pick up a lawyer. Because someone's going to get sued if this gets bit by
This don't
him.
make sense. I don't know, this a lawyer question, what, Mr. Lawyer,
I ain't gonna get no short.
what you think about it?
There was a lot of people talking, Commissioner. Which thing are we talking about? Banning it on the public beach?
No, I'm talking about what can be done, if any.
Well,
About that.
the public beach is owned by Franklin County, and I think you do have a right to impose reasonable restrictions and prohibitions on what the public can and can't do on your public beach. If you wanted me to, research and look into what your options are in terms of banning, not necessarily surf fishing, but shark fishing, I'll be more than happy to do that, if that's what the board would like for me to look into.
I think that'd be a good idea before you get them people. I'm gonna make a motion that we get the shooter to look into it before Michael get them people an answer for the next event.
Second.
That's all right?
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Lockett, second by Commissioner Sanders. Direct county staff, particularly the attorney, to research this issue and come up with answers. Any further discussion?
Yeah, Michael, hold off on the answer about them asking you about setting up a nothing.
Yeah,
Till we get,
I'll let them know that we're doing research on it, and we'll get back to them, what I'll do.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? All opposed? That motion carries. Any further commissioner comment?
You have any?
Mr. Mayor?
I have one went up right off of my head. I can't remember. I had something important to say. That's always important. Anyway,
I don't like the idea on that, where we got to pay go along with they concern, the people they pick.
Well,
on the
Commissioner, that was
consortium.
just a comment I made, it may not be true, so I'm gonna check. I have
He's
three
gonna
questions to
check,
ask.
research some of those questions we ask, and they're gonna bring it back to us in the next meeting, because we gotta prioritize and make sure we're all in consensus about the projects.
Make them
being submitted.
answer you this time,
Yeah,
Alan.
we need an answer on
Make them
that,
answer
so
you.
they can pick it.
I'm just making the
It's gonna
assumption
be in their
because,
favor.
It might be their cousin or something.
Yeah,
When
yeah,
I
buddy,
just
buddy.
I just make that assumption because since the money's running through the consortium, I'm just assuming that they're gonna control, you know, who helps us work, but I could be wrong on that.
No, I don't like that.
Mr. Chairman, just one statement. As you all know, some of the commissioners went up to Legislative Day a couple of weeks ago for the legislature. There is a lot of issues coming before the legislature in just a very few days. They're going to be making a lot of decisions. Some of them is going to be good, some of them is going to be bad. I'm kind of concerned about it. Like the issue of we've already talked about the homestead exemption is going to be up.
Super preemption.
The preemption. The home rule stuff is always a concern to the county commission. But you've also got the Visit Florida, the Enterprise Florida. You've got vacation rentals.
Triumph.
You got the Triumph is going to come through the legislature. There is a lot of issues that's coming down through this legislature this year that on the first Friday of the month, they'll make, or before that, they'll make their decision. And we just need to hope and pray that the good Lord gives them wisdom to make the right decisions, like we pray for us every time that we go to make a decision. And so I'm hoping, because a lot of this stuff could negatively impact your county, all of our counties. So I'm real concerned about that, but I just wanted to bring that to the attention of the board, because that is something that I'm very concerned about.
It's a different breed up there now.
Yeah, yeah.
Any further comments from the commissioner? Commissioner comment? Public comment? Meeting adjourned.
Folks up there now, they ain't-
Tie, tie, to the
Yeah,
road.
they wait.